everybody, and welcome to the Guitar Cave podcast, the place where myself and my guests talk all things guitar here and now. I'm your host, Pete Rogers, and joining me today as my guest, he is known as being one of the most technically gifted guitarists in the London underground scene, and those skills are well known across the UK. He's the founding member of London-based thrash band Prolapse AD, and in recent years joined the ranks of Devilment alongside Dani Filth. He's played Bloodstock open air more times than anyone else, and possibly the best hair in the shred game. He is Nick Sampson. Nick, how are you?
Pete, I'm good. Thanks so much for having me on the show, dude.
Did you like my intro?
No.
No.
I felt it really undersold me completely.
Oh, sorry, man, sorry.
You know,
it wasn't.
I should have been a few more C words in there to really get people to know what I'm all about.
Right.
You know.
I'll work on that. I'll work on that for my next guest. Cool. So let's. I want to go back to the basics because obviously this whole podcast is about sort of lesser known guitarists. So take us back to how it started. What made you pick up the guitar in the first place? How old were you? What do you remember your first? Oh, tell us all the basics.
Yeah. Well. Oh, look, this is going back some time now.
You ain't that old.
Time to feel old. Yeah. Well, I think the very first beginnings of the guitar wasn't actually to do with me. My brother actually had a cheapo classical from Cash Converters back in like the mid 90s, and he had this like electronic Oasis songbook where it had like you put a CD into the drive and then it come up with a thing, and it had this guy with like different coloured fingers like showing you on the screen how to do like the chords and stuff for like the Wonderwall album.
Cool.
And I never learned anything off that. I just remember that was like his thing, and I was just like, wow, how is he doing like this chord stuff? And it was just like, I just thought, yeah, I'll never get into that. And it was always like, it seemed really cool, like the guitar playing thing, but it wasn't until we actually moved house in 2003, and then while we were actually moving stuff into the new house, the moving guy just pulled out the guitar. He was like, oh, cool. He didn't know you guys had well, maybe he did actually, because he probably put it in the truck. But then, anyway, whatever, something happened, and then he just started shredding on this classical, and it was just like, holy shit, that's like even cooler than what my brother was doing. Like, I want to get into that. And then I remember my dad booked me a guitar lesson at the shop in Dartford somewhere.
Oh, I remember that
what was it called, Cadenza or something? It wasn't Dingo Jacks, it was the
Hasn't
other
been
one.
there for a long time, is it?
Yeah, it was in like the precinct.
Yeah.
And I had guitar lessons there.
I think my parents used to take me in there when I played piano, and I used to just tinker around on the keyboards.
Not on the guitars.
Wasn't playing guitar at that time.
So how did you get into guitar anyway?
I started off playing piano as a kid because my parents bought me a keyboard for Christmas, and just after a few years, I got a little bit bored of piano. If I'm being honest, I wanted to try a new instrument, and
I grew the Fisher Price keyboard.
Yeah.
12 keys.
I fell in love with the guitar, but like it was all new because even though I was quite proficient at the piano at the time, guitar I just couldn't get. Like I remember my first chords were A and D because I was learning Wild Thing.
Oh yeah.
Like the first time I learned, but I couldn't physically take my fingers away from the A chord. Couldn't physically lift my fingers off to go to the D chord. And I remember thinking, wow, this is like a whole new thing. I'm going from being okay at one instrument to being completely crap.
That's the funny thing about guitar, isn't it? I think it's one of the instruments that's incredibly hard just to get started because there's quite a lot you have to do just to be able to play one single note. I mean, because whoops, a lot of guitar, you try to teach someone the basic of guitar to play like a C chord, and then like they try and get their hand like this.
Yeah, and it'll take them forever to put the
and then they don't normally get the whole like you have to arch it round and to get the clearance over the strings. So like, most guitar players like trying to play a C chord sound like this, and you're like, you have to move your hand around.
No one knows how much pressure's put on.
It's that
it's making your hand do unnatural things. You do things on a guitar that your hand doesn't do.
Holding the pick the right way, the string bending thing, that always happens. This isn't like to discredit beginners at all. Like, I'm not trying to say like beginners are all terrible. Probably Steve Vai was terrible when he started. I mean, maybe not him, but somebody was probably terrible that's now really good.
Yeah.
Where we get to, we just had basically some guitar lessons at this shop in Dartford for I don't know, maybe a year or so, and then after that shop closed, I kind of lost touch with the guitar teacher that was teaching there and taught myself for a bit. Went to another teacher, started looking at a bit more theory and stuff, and at the time I was into Guns N' Roses and like the rock and roll kind of stuff, so I was kind of like not against theory, but I just kind of wanted to ignore it because it wasn't that cool the time, and eventually I went back to being self-taught for many moons until, this is going to sound like I'm really old, till 9 years. I think it was 9 years ago. I actually picked up guitar lessons with Chris Broderick, who was the guitar player in Megadeth for a few years, and so yeah, I actually still have lessons with him to this day on a sort of weekly basis when he's not swanning off around the world with large profile rock and metal bands.
That's awesome. Let's talk about that friendship for a second. Like, so, because you've actually developed a genuine friendship with Chris, haven't you?
No. I just when
he's here, he knows you're on first name terms, isn't it? You're on first name terms.
Actually,
definitely.
We're on like taking the piss out of each other quite regularly terms. Like, so just to give the watchers and listeners a little bit of context, Chris's new band, Active Defiance, came over to the UK 2018 for their first ever UK tour, and they were really kind enough to ask my band Prolapse AD to be like UK support for the whole thing. And they actually were at my house for a couple of days before the tour started, and so I like showed them around and stuff, and Chris just goes, "Hey Nick, you got a nice house. I'm just going to take a dump right here," like pointing at the front room floor.
Awesome. I remember seeing that picture of you and Chris and thinking it was cool, but then after I came to your house and I saw that picture again, I was like, fuck, Chris Broderick was in his fucking house. So I was like,
yeah, it's pretty surreal. Like there's some now holy ground.
Oh yeah, definitely. Pray every time you walk in that room in the morning. Cool. Let's talk about the guitar you got with you. So it's gorgeous.
Thank you. Can't touch it. So this is a Jackson USA custom shop King V 7-string, and I've actually now had this for nearly 4 years. Ordered it in October or November 2014, and it didn't turn up until it was a 20-month build or something, or 20-month wait overall. I think it took like 3 months to build it, or maybe 4 months. So I waited from November 2014. I received it in July 2016. So what the funny thing is, like, I'll go around people's houses sometime in like 2015. Matt Jackson, our friend, would say, "Oh, is your custom guitar turned up yet?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot I even ordered that. It's been like so long." So, but yeah, this is like my number one guitar. I've got like a few other Jackson USA Vs.
Yeah,
and
you
stuff,
got a KV2, haven't you?
I got 2 KV2s, Chris Broderick USA, and I've got another Jackson coming as well.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that later, maybe. But yeah, so just a brief, it's a super cool guitar. To give the listeners a little bit of info on it, it's 7-string King V, standard shape, mahogany body with a flame maple top, neck through, Floyd Rose, reverse headstock. What else is interesting?
Where's that fretboard? Is that
Ebony?
ebony?
Ebony fretboard, stainless steel frets, and I love stainless steel frets because I got switched over to those about 6 or 7 years ago, and can't say I'd ever go back to nickels because they just don't wear. I mean, after 4 years, you can see there's literally like zero
they look
wear.
brand new still.
Yeah, and I've never polished them. They aren't showing any signs of what's the word? Use, wear. Yeah, and yeah, it's aesthetically a really nice guitar. And the things I had the biggest. Sorry, just before we go into that, the pickups are a single Duncan JB 7-string and then a 59. So like the classic sort of hard rock metal set. And
did you choose them when you ordered?
I did, yeah. So you can basically pick like any control configuration. It's got a kill switch, and then 2 volumes, one for each pickup, and a tone which is only activated if you put it up. So it gives you like a few different varieties of things to do, and obviously that stays out of the tone stays out of the signal chain while it's not activated. So it's pretty cool. And
awesome.
but yeah, I just the funny thing is I wanted one of these probably I think since about 2009. I got my first 7-string in 2009, and I had my original Jackson USA V in 2008. So it'd been about a year since I got into 7-string, and I sort of just went, I need like my other guitar as a 7-string that would like just sort me out big time. So it just took me years to save up some money and deliberate on what I wanted, like spec-wise and details. And it's not actually that far removed from the original USA King V. It's just got an extra string, reverse headstock, a couple extra controls, and a different colour.
But it's nice knowing you got something coming to you. completely your specs. I mean,
Yeah,
did you change anything with the specs, like from the standards? Like,
No. The only thing that's different from this guitar to USA KB2 is the addition of the kill switch. The tone pot's only activated if you pull it up. Of course, it's a 7-string and it's got a reverse headstock.
Awesome.
And funny little anecdote about the headstock was I actually spec'd it out and got it priced and everything with a normal forward-facing headstock. And it wasn't until I got an email from Helen at Fender saying, "Oh, your guitar's just hit the mill. Like, it's now a few months away from being finished." I actually said to her, "Oh, can I change some details on it?" She's like, "Yeah, no problem." I was like, "Reverse headstock had to be done just to differentiate from like the USA, like the standard ones."
That's with headstocks are so much nicer. It's where your hand already is if you're standing up tuning.
What are you wanking off there? Yeah, there is that as well. You don't have to like reach around.
Innuendos.
Yeah. Oh yeah. More that to come. Yeah, you see what I did there? So yeah, it's like I say, if you look up the specs of the USA King V, it's fairly similar. Oh, apart from obviously the body, the USA V's, the standard ones have an older body. This is made mahogany with a flame maple top.
Cool.
So there's like 3 things that are different from the standard one, and it's mainly because I just liked the USA one I had so much. I just wanted one with a 7th string.
Cool. And you've been playing Jacksons for a while now, haven't you?
Yeah.
So
that first one I got was in 2008 from Rockers in Denmark Street in London, which was a cool
Tin
place.
Pan Alley.
Yeah. Just I bought that one originally. I got was it a Japanese KE7 Kelly shape in 2009.
I love the Kelly shapes.
So I had those 2 Jacksons for a while. Got a Les Paul and a Strat in the meantime, and then I got this one. And then since then I've got a USA KB2 with a cool black ghost flames thing. So if you hold it like this, you can't see it, and then suddenly in the light it's like, flames!
Awesome.
And then I've actually got another Jackson on the way as well.
Nice. What's that? And was that, is that another custom, or is it?
Yeah, of sorts. It's actually going to be the second one in Europe ever.
No way.
And so the first 2 that are coming over, the first one's coming over is for like magazine reviews. I'm trying to see if you can guess what it is yet. So it's going to go around to like Total Guitar and Guitar whoever Techniques and whatever, for like demonstration and review. It's a signature model.
I want to say Jeff Loomis.
Yeah. Bingo. So yeah, I just so I got in touch with Jackson earlier sometime last year, and I was like, "How much for one of those?" And they were like, "Oh, it's this one." I was like, "Yeah, I'll take one." So that should be exciting when it comes along as well.
I've seen like the videos of Jeff playing his like signature Kelly, and it's so nice.
Yeah, it's really cool looking guitar. Like obviously different from anything in the Jackson line, with that like sand blasted ash top, and actually that chrome logo looks really cool as well.
Yeah.
Rather than like an inlay or a decal, whatever those things are, it's like a 3D sticky outy type of thing.
Awesome. And you got an endorsement from Jackson, haven't you?
Yeah.
So how did that come around?
That was actually when was that? It was sort of around about the time I joined Devilment. So I already was talking to Jackson before the Devilment thing turned up, and I actually ordered this sort of through like an unofficial endorsement at the time in 2014. But it wasn't really until 2016, 17 that they were like, "Okay, so you're in Devilment now. Like, we'd be happy to have you on the roster and stuff." And of course, like Jackson's like just been that company that I've always wanted to like be one of the players of, and just always thought their guitars looked really cool. Like seeing like the Rust in Peace booklet and stuff, and being like, yeah, those guitars are like just like they look like weapons, but they're also kind of like what's the word? Quite elegant as well, with all the binding and everything like that. And I was just like, yeah, that's kind of what I want. And obviously when I got my first one, I was like, and they play good, sound good, look good, so yeah, I'm fine with that. So
awesome. Let's
sorry, you're endorsed, aren't you, by Solar? Sweet Ola Ass, isn't it?
Yeah, Sweet Ola Ass. I'm not. I think it's a bit of a touchy subject whether it's an actual like real endorsement or not. It's just more of a. I just sent them an email, and Ola's wife Louise replied to my email, and I think where Solar are a bit more of a smaller company, and as long as you're active and you're doing a good thing for their brand, I think they're happy to, because their artist roster is huge.
Yeah, it's been
So they've got a couple of
some time,
signature artists, like in The Haunted and At the Gates. So they've got a couple of signature artists, but then, yeah. So I'm not sure if I can call it an actual endorsement or not, but I'm happy to have their name associated with me, this podcast and everything.
That sounds like an endorsement.
They're such nice people as well. Like anything I email them, they reply quickly and professionally, and they're happy to help out with absolutely anything.
It's always good when you have that relationship with a company that you know whatever level you're at, they're kind of like supporting what you do, and
because they don't know, they've never met me, they don't know how good I am. I doubt they even checked out my band before I asked if I could be part of their artist roster, but they clearly saw something and they have a bit of faith in me, and I like to think I'm doing something for their brand in this country. So yeah.
It was a cheeky little wink, wasn't it?
It was a cheeky little
wink. A slap on the bum.
Plus, it just looks good when you're a player and you're trying to promote your own music as well. It looks good when you've got artists backing you. It helps you out, and in return you help them out by pushing their products out there as much as you can.
And I think as the artist as well, is you should always be doing something to give that brand some exposure and some promotion. Because what was funny actually was the UK Guitar Show in September, just gone. I turned up there with Gumby, and I was wearing a Jackson t-shirt. So I went straight to the Jackson booth and I met James from Jackson there, and we had a chit chat and stuff. And so he's standing. I can't remember. I think he was wearing a Jackson t-shirt, or maybe he was. But I was just standing around looking, and people were like, "Oh, do you work for Jackson?" I was like, "No." Well, sort of.
Can you sell me the guitar? No. I'm not here to sell you anything.
Yeah, I was trying to like show the Jackson brand wherever I'm doing, like with hashtags, tags, recommending it to people and stuff. Like when people are like, "Oh, does anyone want a good 7-string?" or something, I'm like, "Yeah, Jackson."
Yeah, just go straight in there. So. Absolutely. Cool. Is there any reason why you always go for the V shapes? Because I know you're a big fan of the V's. What's the reason behind that?
Just because of this, really. Like I don't know why, but with Strats and like Les Pauls and things, I don't like how you have to sit sort of sideways like this. And I think whenever I played, when I did have I think my very first electric guitar was a Super Strat. I preferred playing it up like this, so like the body kind of wraps around the leg and is here. Then I always found like the Super Strats and Les Pauls do that when in that classical position. So for me, like the Flying V, it's the look of the guitar. I mean, to me, is like the coolest kind of thing anyway. Yeah. And then, do you know what? Maybe it's actually just because I've just been playing them for so long that this is more comfortable. Yeah. It might not just be that
you're just
very actually more comfortable. Yeah. So, bit of bollocks chatting there, but yeah, this is just, I just like the King V shape. It's my favourite, probably from having seen Mustaine back in the 90s, like with the Rust in Peace era. And I was like, that's the coolest guitar.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Awesome.
And you're not a fan of the V so much, are you? Are you a fan of the V?
I'm a fan of the way V's look. I've never played one live yet, though. That's the thing. So, but for me to sit down with a V is much different. See, I'm much different. Like, see, I prefer the way a Strat sits on me because that's comfortable to me. Because the bridge is further forward because you've got all this body here, so it's more comfortable. My hand, I feel like my hand sits in more comfortable position.
Yeah, I guess it's horses for courses, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or maybe you're just weird. Maybe I'm weird. I don't know.
Excellent. Is there any reason why you picked the Seymour Duncans? Because I wanted to talk about these as well. Because my last guest, Pete Humphreys, he had Seymour Duncans. We had some good things to say about them because obviously these are Duncan designed pickups for the Solar guitars.
Right. So like little collaboration.
I've got no desire to rip these out whatsoever because these came through and they just sound amazing.
They look cool because they've got that that black sort of whole pieces and the sort of matte black kind of thing that looks killer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got absolutely no desire to take those because these just came through and they sound incredible.
You've got some beard stains on your guitar.
That is a sweat stains from from my last show because I didn't clean it after my last show and I still haven't.
Someone's gonna touch that. But yeah, Seymour Duncan, I haven't got any affiliation with them formally or at all really, but again, just with that first Jackson I got, they had the JB and I think it was I put a 59 in the neck because I always loved that kind of like sort of have a little bit of sound like with a lot of hang on a second, let's get a better patch for what I'm gonna do. Like that kind of like sort of what's the word, like watery kind of like bluesy kind of sound.
Nice
I always
smooth,
thought that was like the sort of thing that sounded really nice on a neck pickup. So I've always just put that 59 in Jacksons I've had. And I mean, I haven't really experimented with pickups a hell of a lot. I've never owned a guitar with actives, but that will change when I get the Jeff Loomis.
Okay.
In fact, I think I've never really tried any other pickups apart from the Duncan Pegasus and Sentient. They're really good, but I just prefer that 59 for its uniqueness.
You'd have to let me know how you get on with the actives, because
yeah,
I reckon after many years of playing passives, I've got a feeling, especially for maybe the music you do, I don't think you'll like the actives. I find actives just, they push too hard for me.
yeah.
I've got one guitar here that's got actives, and I could never get it sound how I wanted live, and I think it was always down to the pickups.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever had an experience with like the Fishman stuff? Because they're supposed to be taking like the active pickup to the next level.
Yeah,
of, like,
I spoke about this in my last episode, which was that with the exception of I've got no desire to rip these pickups out because I like them, I am tempted to try the Fishmans because I've heard good things about them.
I've heard they're like the axe effects of pickups, so they kind of, I don't know if it's the right word, but they model like the passive thing and the active thing, so you kind of get both in the same pickup.
Yeah, they do. So I'm quite tempted to try them, but I think from what I've heard though, with my guitars, I might have to do a bit of routing.
Oh,
to
really?
get them in there. That's the only,
that's
the only downside.
That Mars
I
bar
think they're
shape.
a little bit oversized, but other than that, I might give them a go because I think there's a custom kill switch set out there.
Oh, cool.
I think kill switch engage users.
Yeah,
so
well, they've always had like the best tone ever, so they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, but they're always changing stuff to get that tone. They've never settled. But it just seems to just keep getting better.
But that's the funny thing, isn't it? I mean, so how do you feel about like your gear and stuff? Because obviously you've recently moved to Solar and you're happy with the pickups.
Yeah.
But like, not to go into the detail of like every different type of and component of the guitar and the amps and stuff. Has your like rig generally stayed the same over the couple of years? Like, or have you kind of?
I seem to have like one sort of sound that I tend to like. I find myself gravitating to. Like, I think I used to have a Marshall JVM, as you know.
Yeah.
And
good amp.
I've now moved over to Kemper, and I don't think my tone that I use live on the Kemper is far removed from what I had on the JVM in the first place.
So you modelled the JVM for your Kemper sound?
I did profile it, but it's not what I use live now. I modelled it off a 5150, my live tone now, because it was just it's the go-to amp.
5150 like 3 or an original one? Yeah, those amps are amazing.
So it's based off of that with just a few tweaks, and but I think if I find out old videos of me playing my Marshall, I'm like, it doesn't sound far removed. So it's almost like I seem to gravitate to a sound without even knowing it, but it works. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I mean,
let's talk about your equipment here. What have you got with you here? Like?
Yeah, so these are some really super cool bits of gear that I got actually within the last sort of couple of years. So this thing here is the Fractal Audio AX8 or however it's pronounced, and it's floorboard, basically AX-FX 2 in a floorboard with a little bit less CPU or whatever. And I think it sounds brilliant. I've used it DI with Devilment. I've used it through Valve amps, and more recently, when we were on the Active Defiance tour, Alex from Matrix Amps came to one of the shows because they provide Chris with his backline as well. Yeah. So Chris is an endorser of Matrix as well, and he brought this amp and he goes to me, like, through the front it sounds like a JCM 800, and it does. It's brilliant. It's a little tiny solid state power amp with a Valve preamp. Awesome. I use it strictly as a power amp, just because I get all my modelling from this. So,
all your effects come out of that.
Yeah, exactly. So literally just goes into the return and it cranks up super loud, and it's tiny. It weighs like 3 or 4 kilograms, so you can...
So it's super lightweight.
You can stick it in a backpack. And I've turned up with to gigs before in London, just taking my guitar and my soft case and this and these two things just in my backpack. So for me, like, I'm kind of these days leaning towards the convenience of gear and not so much. I mean, I think the good stuff about digital is it's now getting to that kind of point where it's really hard to tell between the digital and the original stuff.
Especially live.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
They're able to still bring that sort of warm Valve tone
in
towards
touch
digital
and the feels
software.
kind of there, and at the end of the day, I think as long as you're happy playing through it and you're happy with the sound, most people in the audience aren't going to know or care what you're actually playing through.
Yeah,
as long as like they enjoy it up front as well, they're like, oh,
yeah, no one's going to come watch you at a show and be like, oh, he's not playing through a valve amp, I'm out of here.
With their arms folded at the back, like
that judgmental guy at the back.
But yeah, so this is basically my entire rig now. So the funny thing was when I was playing with Devilment, we did a fly-in show to Leipzig in Germany. We played Wave Gothic Treffen in 2017, and it was a huge. It's like I think the name is indicative of what it is. It's German for world's largest goth festival or something like that. Hence the name Wave Gothic Treffen, I believe. And we had Axe Effects, so we had a Line 6 G90 Axe Effects, and then that went direct to the PA. And we were at the airport, me and Colin, the guitar player from Devilment, we were just sort of like, oh man, there's so much stuff. Like, wouldn't it be great if you could just have like an Axe Effects? Because we had the NFC controllers as well, so we had all this stuff in hard cases and things, and it was loads of stuff to like carry and check in and pay for at the airport. And then I said like, oh, wouldn't it be amazing if they just like did an Axe Effects like a floorboard, like a Pod XT? And he goes, oh yeah, they do those. I was like, oh, like, should we get some? He's like, yeah. So pretty much like the next day, exaggerating time, like maybe like a week later, we just went on to Fractal and spoke to those guys and ordered a couple of these, and I've had that. It's been my mainstay in the rig since 2017, so nearly 3 years.
Awesome.
And the only thing that's changed since then in my rig is the amp, which I used to have a JVM, and I'm more than happy with the Matrix because it weighs nothing, it's tiny, and it really competes with those like big valve amps.
Excellent.
And then lastly, this bit of gear is awesome as well. It's a 2x12.
Extremely heavy.
Yeah, really has a backbreaker, that one. No, so this is the cab I've got is a Matrix NL212. It's a Neolite. So if I understand this correctly, basically this cab's called the half and half. It's got a creamback and a what's it called? A creamback and a greenback.
Yeah. But
the cones are like, I think like this big or something. Like they're tiny. So like neodymium material, which is basically like super light. Doesn't weigh anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first to admit I'm not a big expert when it comes to cabs, speakers and stuff
neither.
like that.
But again, Matrix, I've got one of these cabs through them, played around with the settings just to tweak, obviously, because the EQ on our speaker cabs is different, and this weighs nothing, it sounds big, it looks cool, and
you don't need anything bigger than that for a live show.
No,
you take
not
live
really.
show, mic up, away you go.
Yeah, and I'm kind of done with the whole like lugging 4x12s and heads and stuff, and again, like with the digital stuff, you just have an almost limitless palette at your fingertips. So I mean, I really only, to sound kind of a bit contradictory, I only have like 3 presets in my entire rig. I kind of change them up for different gigs. Like if I'm playing with Joe Quayle, I'll change harmonizers and stuff like that. But essentially, I use a clean sound like this kind of thing with the digital, like the reverb and delay and stuff. And then I have like a rhythm channel based. I can't remember what amp this is based on. I think it's either a 5150 or a Engel Savage, but it's like so pretty brutal. And then of course like a lead sound for everything. So kind of like everything you need, really.
Nice.
And then like you can toggle on like the harmonizers and stuff. So I think this is programmed to E harmonic minor. Hope so. This might sound really bad.
Very nice.
Yeah, and the thing I love about this bit of kit as well is there's a thing called the XY switching. So if you have like a preset with a certain effect, you can actually, if you hold the foot switch down, it will toggle like an alternate version of that effect. So for example, on my rhythm sound, I think it's this one. Oh no, it's the other one. Sorry. There is 2 like, so it's got the normal delay. And then there's, if you hold the button down, it gives you the other delay.
Nice.
So you get like so many different options just with really little.
What's it like to navigate? Because I'm not familiar with the fractal stuff too much myself. So is it quite easy to sort of navigate? And
yeah, it's pretty
set all
cool.
that stuff
Like
up?
essentially, the way you can set up or rearrange a preset is you have the thing called the layout, and that's like your grid of the squares.
Yeah.
Basically, your signal goes from one end to the other. You add in your amps, your effects and cabs and whatever, and you just scroll through, select it, tweak it, save it.
Awesome.
And obviously you play in between to make sure that you're not going to screw up. So yeah, fantastic bit of kit, and it's kind of saved me a lot of hassle with just getting places, and you know I can get to gigs and on the train, and it's just less to carry around. You know,
But it still sounds
Yeah.
amazing. So you're not sacrificing any time for the convenience of travel.
not at all.
Excellent. All right. Well, do you want to give us some riffing out or shredding out? And we'll move on to the next.
Yeah, what should we play? I mean,
Anything you got, man? Go for it.
I'll give you a Prolapse riff. How about a Prolapse riff?
Give us a product.
Fast one. So this is the riff from Enemy of Cod. It's a song about fish and chips with a little nod to Creator.
Awesome.
Cool.
Like it.
Yeah, I totally played that on the lead preset
So,
for the rhythm, but never mind.
how did Prolapse AD start? Can you take us through that?
Well, that actually started out with it was Gumby, the bass player, and Alex. He was a guitar player originally, and those two.
Very good guitar player.
Yeah, very good guitar player, and he's in a band called Market Decay for anyone that wants to have a listen to what he's capable of. It wasn't a band with him called Inner Fire at the start of kind of the whole guitar thing and getting into like the local scene, and like we wrote loads of music together. But essentially, Prolapse at the time was a side project with Gumby and Alex, and they had a criteria that was nothing under 200 BPM, all in E standard, ridiculous 80s thrash. And like I joined them just because they needed like a guitar player or something just to kind of make up the numbers. And eventually, like we just kind of bumbled around for a couple of years, just did a gig here and there. And then what happened was Alex actually went to Australia to live for a year, and that was the end of Inner Fire and Prolapse and stuff. So when he came back, there was talk because the other guys from Inner Fire had started a new project, and there was kind of like, well, we don't really want to go back 5 years to the Inner Fire stuff so much because we've all started new things. Like I was doing Zoclo and Splinter Soul, and I think that was it at the time. And so we had different things keeping us busy. But then we were kind of just like talking like, oh, why don't we just have a Prolapse jam, because it's kind of like just pretty laid back and fun and just a bit of a laugh. And then we did that, and we had a couple of gigs, and people liked it, and we started writing some new stuff, and it just kind of snowballed into this thing. And we've kind of been around, like been on tour with Active Defiance, and we've played a
I went
couple
to
of
that London show,
festivals.
and that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was a banger of a gig.
And Chris Broderick coming on stage as well.
Yeah.
How did that feel, having Chris Broderick come on stage to play one of your songs that you wrote? Like that must have been
I mean,
mind blowing.
I made him look bad. So no, he made me look bad. It was like, wow, this lunatic thrash band from Dartford, and then we've like actually got the guitar player who was in Megadeth like playing with us on stage. It was surreal, and just something I kind of never thought would happen, but it's like, I suppose,
it's just I love things like that when you just don't think how you can't see past that initial moment. Like, imagine writing a song in your room, thinking someday an international touring musician is going to play this on stage with me. You can't predict that stuff, so it's really cool when it happens.
Exactly.
And it's really cool to witness it as well.
And apparently, when he walked off stage, like, so that I think we played that song second to last in the set.
Yeah.
And when he left and he went sort of backstage, apparently he said to Ian, our guitar player, he was just like, "Wow, that was nuts."
Awesome.
So yeah, it seemed like he enjoyed it. And then he ended up playing that song with us for the 4 or 5 other gigs on that tour as well. So it was cool.
That's really
Super cool.
awesome. Right, let's talk about other bands. So you've been involved with lots of bands over the years. You seem to be the go-to guy when people need a guitarist.
Sort of like crime syndicate. You've been involved. You know?
Played Bloodstock with many of them.
Yeah.
Almost every band you've been a part of has played Bloodstock.
I think so. I think Prolapse AD is the only band that hasn't played Bloodstock. But well, actually, I've played Bloodstock with bands I'm actually not in as well.
Yeah, you played this year. Just gone,
2019.
No,
it was Damn
Him.
So yeah, the Damn Him gig's really cool. That's like their music's hard to play. It's quite intricate with the rhythmic because they like to displace a lot of the downbeats, and they use a lot of syncopation. And it's almost like their riffs kind of never do the same thing twice. So when you think you've got the riff the first time, it then changes, and you're just constantly going,
oh, I couldn't deal with that.
Awesome. But yeah, they're really cool, and they're doing quite well actually. They've been on tours, like they've played Iceland. I think they're doing European stuff this year as well. They've supported. Well, I mean, one of the gigs I did with them was Deicide of the Underworld in August.
Yeah.
That was the day after Bloodstock or something like that. And the other gig I did with them last summer was what was it called? Monolith Festival in Cork in Ireland.
Yeah.
And that was with Rotting Christ, and that was brilliant.
Awesome.
So I just, I mean, like I've played with like a few bands, and so the ones I've played with is Splinter Soul, Prolapse AD, Devilment, Inner Fire, Zocalo. I played in a blues band called Chewy Lewis and the Blues. So I've played with Damien before. Who else have I played with? Actually, I joined the band recently as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's called Omicida, or Omicida, however you pronounce it.
Okay.
It's an LA founded thrash metal band.
Okay.
By the drummer Gio, who is in White Wizard, and he's now in Benediction.
Okay.
So
how did that come around?
That's why I forgot I was actually in a band called Monument as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
So
were.
I joined them a couple of year and a half ago.
You've done a few shows in Germany with them, didn't you?
Yeah, it was on the Accept tour,
Yeah.
which was amazing because it was just huge clubs and like the really big stages, and like Accept's kind of like high production value. So being there and seeing like the Accept thing for a few days was super cool, and then just being like welcome on that tour. And the British heavy metal thing goes down really well in Germany as well.
Yeah, they love it.
So yeah,
I think Belgium as well. They love that.
Yeah, the Belgians love it. The French definitely not.
Yeah, you don't get many bands from London and France.
Well, when we played Scotland with Prolapse, and Alex, like the first thing he goes was, "What's up, Glasgow? We're Prolapse AD from London," and it was just like.
Excellent. That was the same when I went on to Scotland. Actually, it's like no one really cared. Everyone was like, "Oh, these guys are good, but why the fuck are they headlining?"
Yeah.
It's like, okay, great. Oh god. So, Devilment.
Yeah.
We need to know about Devilment. How did all that come together? Because that's joining the band with like just Dani Filth.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I mean, so it actually goes way back to about 2015, and they actually had an opening for a guitar player at the start of that year, and I think they had like an open audition thing actually online.
I think I've never seen that audition because I think I considered it myself at the time, but I was in the middle of some life changes myself, so I didn't have the time to go for it. But I do remember seeing something about a guitar player for Devilment.
Yeah, because I think they did like a thing where you sent in a video, we uploaded a video to YouTube, and
I think it was like 2 of their songs or something.
I think it was 3, because they did that, and then they shortlisted it down to like a rehearsal room audition, and I kind of like, I wouldn't say I ignored it, I kind of knew about it, but I didn't do anything about it until like literally 2 days before the thing closed. So I kind of emailed Colin because I known him from the scene when he was in the Conflict Within.
Yeah.
And we played some show. Yeah, really good band. Like if you like the Kill Switch kind of thing. And so I sent him a message. I was like, "Oh, is this Devilment thing like still available?" He was like, "Well, it's closed, but like as I know you, we can kind of get you an audition if you want." And he was like, "You need to learn these 3 songs in like 2 days, and you can kind of figure how that went when I only had like a few hours in a couple of weeknights. So I went for an audition, and it didn't work out that first time because I just, for whatever reason, they picked someone else in 2015. But then the next year came along, and they were just about to release their second album, and for some reason their guitar player, one that had joined at that time, had actually left again. So Colin goes, "We've got a tour in a couple of months. Do you want to do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like I'll be there."
Awesome.
So I just spent the 2 months. I think I learned about, I think it was 12 or 13 songs just by ear at home. So every night was just plugging and playing the songs, listening to it, working it out, and then trying to get the arrangement, learning the next ones, having like the kind of outline of the set learned, and then just having to go back and like tweak bits and try and remember bits and stuff like that.
And they play a different tuning as well. Like an odd tuning, don't they?
So they're a 6-string band,
Yeah.
but I think it's like, what is it called? C9 tuning or something.
Right.
Anyway, so it's basically from the low C, it's C, G, C, G, C, D. I think Devin Townsend uses something, the thump thing.
Yeah.
Talking about Mike Tyson.
That's open C, isn't it?
Yeah, but with a D, it's like a ninth, isn't it? So anyway, yeah, they play in that weird tuning, and then that kind of like offsets some of the octaves. So the octaves aren't like up 2 strings and then up 2 frets. The actual octaves is that. If you play like a minor 7, so that, and then that throws the scale shapes, and so you can't really like do the traditional up and down sweeps and stuff. So, but yeah, it was cool, and actually that was actually quite a fun thing to do with writing as well, because it set out the guitar in a completely different way. You were forced to use different shapes and rethink how you'd write riffs as well. So it was actually quite fun to do. And then of course, like even if you use like your standard sort of fingering shapes, you can then actually get like some really cool sounds with the way that the guitar was tuned.
Yeah.
So it actually kind of like, as much as it threw me off and was a challenge, it was actually a pretty good thing to try and relearn how to play guitar. Yeah,
things.
And you like sort of learn like different chords and extensions of chords and stuff like that as a result of.
Kind of takes you back to what I said earlier about an A chord and just not being able to go to the D. It takes you back to that because it throws you off. It almost takes you back to, takes you kind of down level, doesn't it? Because you're like sitting there.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a bit of humble pie.
Yeah,
to put you back in your place. Remind you that you're terrible.
So have you written anything for
there probably won't be an album for like a couple of years or something.
Yeah, because Danny's busy with
Cradle at the moment. So Cradle are pretty much on this role of like album tour. Like they're almost like on a sort of endless cyclical kind of thing for the time being. But Colin and I and Annabelle, the keyboard player, have actually written I think about 10 or 12 songs for album 3. And Filth has actually put some lyrics to some of them as well. And I actually haven't seen some of the Devilment guys since the Decapitated show we did at Hard Rock Hell last year.
Right.
But that's just because it's been kind of like, well, there's not really any point while Filth's just kind of away doing his thing.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's really good actually working with Danny on this stuff, because he's always got something to say about the riffs and the structures of songs.
He does have quite a lot of input.
Yeah.
Is he quite musical himself, apart from being just a vocalist and a lyricist? Is he quite?
I don't think he plays any instruments, as far as I know.
But he's been around it long enough to know what sounds good.
He knows like what's going on.
So he's quite hands-on with the writing process.
Yeah. He always gives feedback, like constructive criticism wise. So he's actually quite fun to work with, and he's actually more fun to party with as well.
Yeah.
We had.
Give us some stories. Tell us what you can tell us.
Oh, there's nothing I can't tell you really. Probably, maybe, I don't know. Let me think about that. One of the funniest stories was probably from the very first Devilment tour, and I hardly knew Danny at that time. We'd only met at the rehearsals like in the month leading up to the tour, and we kind of hit it off really well at the start actually. We because I was wearing a Death hoodie, and I think he was wearing a Death hoodie as well. So we kind of like were like, oh, cool. So, like you've got the right taste in music. And we kind of like just became friends, and it turns out, like me, he's actually a massive nerd, like Star Wars and Star Trek and stuff.
Awesome.
So we talked like we always joke about like Star Wars things. We talk about Marvel and like anything sci-fi and cinema. And so on that first tour, we did the first gig was Colchester, which was like the hometown show because they're like an Ipswich-based band.
Yeah.
And I think that was like the nearest kind of central gig because there wasn't like a Suffolk one. So we did there, then we did Nottingham, and then we had a day off in Stoke, which was like which preceded the Stoke show the day after that. So we had a good time at both the first gigs, like played the gig and packed up and then had a few drinks, and well, a few drinks, I mean quite a lot of drinks. and we
1 = 3.
Yeah. For every drink I say, that was 3. So we had this day off in Stoke, and we went out for some dinner, and there wasn't really a lot to do there. Like we just had some dinner, and Danny was like, oh, I'm going to go and check out what's on at the cinema. I think Rogue One was at the time because it was Christmas 2016 that tour.
Yeah.
And he went over there and kind of came back, and everyone else was like, oh, we're tired, we're going to go back to the hotel and chill. And I said to him, like, well, I mean, I don't really know you that well, like, should we go have a couple of drinks? And we sat in this coast to coast, like, American diner sort of bar, and we were like, yeah, I've got a beers, and looked at the cocktail menu, like, yeah, cocktail, yeah, kind of thing. And then we went like, yeah, one more kind of thing, about 5 times. So we left this place about 9 o'clock in the evening, and we were absolutely shit-faced. And we were like, okay, let's just walk back to the hotel, and we ended up walking through this like shopping precinct, and we kind of got lost in there. We ended up going up a set of escalators that we shouldn't have done because we didn't go that way on the way there, and we ended up in Primark, and I was sort of like turned around drunk, and I was like, why are we in Primark? This is not the way, kind of thing. And then I turn around, and then there he is, and he's just got this spray of like old woman's perfume, and he just going, I'm like, what the? So I grab one, and I'm like spraying him back, and me and him were just like running around this perfume stand, like chasing each other, and I got absolutely wiped out with this variety of different old lady aromas. And we went into a guitar shop, and I started playing guitar, and he just went, you're embarrassing me now. And because I was like half cut, and we ended up going to a pub which happened to be next door to the venue. Okay. And so
more
he
alcohol.
walked, yeah, so the party continued, and we walked in there, and he went in undetected at the start. And as soon as I walked in, it literally, the whole pub just turned around and went, you stink. And I was like, I went, it's him. And then they were like, oh, it's Dani Filth! Like, and then he was just like, oh,
that's brilliant.
And so there, yeah, we just sat in there, like talked to some of like his fans and stuff, and a lot of drunken selfies, and we played darts, and he threw darts at my feet. And eventually we left there, we went into an Asda, and we did the perfume thing again, and we had a battle with multi-bag crisps. And then when we had enough of that, we decided that we were lost. And we couldn't find the hotel, which was literally 300 yards away. So we called an Uber, he picked us up and drove us around the corner.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, Danny's he's a really smart guy, and he's good fun to work with, and he's great, even more fun to like hang around and have a chat with and party with and stuff. So
excellent. Oh, that sounds awesome. Okay. Right, let's move on to another topic. I want to talk about you and Shred.
Me and Shred.
You and Shred, because
what, like in an office?
Yeah, shredding paperwork. Man, but your technique, like you're definitely one of the best known guitar players in the underground scene. For sure.
If you have a small network, maybe.
But a lot of people know, like, you know, people hear your name and they relate it to, you know, Shred guitar. So like, you know,
cool.
That's what I hear anyway all the time. So like, talk us through like your warm up routines. Like, what do you practice the most, or like, you know, or is it all just sort of come over time, just as you?
I mean, well, I suppose one of the things that really helped out was the John Petrucci Rock Discipline book.
Oh yeah, I got that.
For like, yeah, I take it you've practiced that quite a lot.
I still actually use some of the exercises as like warm ups now.
Yeah, same.
I don't use them as part of my like practice routine anymore to like develop the chops anymore. But like, he's got that chromatic exercise that starts on the 5th fret.
Oh, I was teaching that the other day actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one.
That's part of my warm-up routine.
Yeah.
Before a show, I will sit there for 10 minutes do that. But what I do my own variant of it. When I get back down to the 5th fret, I'll start it again, but on the 6th fret. So I'll actually work my way up the neck completely.
A big run out of it.
That's what I do. But like, yeah, that's such a good book. Like, I need to go back to that book and like relearn some of those
Do you know what was funny? It was the first time I got that book, and then it was the very first thing when it was just like, let's just try and like break into this nicely, and like those weird things that were like. Like that threw me. I was like, "What the hell was going on here?" And then it kind of goes into that stuff with other. Whatever. And then he does like you reverse the upstrokes on each one. Then you do it with 2 picks per note, then reverse those 3 again, then a 4s. And then there's all those weird like coordination exercises like that. How do they go? And then like the kind of you throw the middle 2 in like around. How's it go? I've played this in ages. I'll show it.
Yeah. So like you're just reversing the middle 2 notes every time. And then you I remember that exercise as well. And there was a sweeping exercise he developed, which was kind of the same thing, just
was it that
12,
one?
13, 14, 15.
And then... Yeah, I don't know why I didn't personally find that much value in that one, because it doesn't really have any like application to it.
Yeah, so I think it's more just to develop the accuracy of the actual sweep picking motion itself.
Yeah.
Because if you can get those horrible sounding notes together to sound separately, then you're doing it right. But if it sounds terrible, you're doing it wrong because you're hitting them all.
But I mean, like whenever I practice like sweeps and stuff, I just stick with the really basic stuff. So the major, minor shape. So just and just ensuring that the coordination is as accurate as I can get it. So. Put a tap there. Just it.
There you go.
But yeah, and I suppose, like, I think my philosophy on practice is just kind of it's the typical thing of play it slow and play it correctly before you attempt to do the fast stuff.
Yeah, see what I found recently for myself. I mean, I don't know if you're the same, because I mean, I tend to find exercises, but what I found at a younger age was if I just practice exercises all the time, I kept finding that I was only ever getting good at the exercises. So if I practice all these sweep exercises and then you give me a song that's got like all these arpeggios and sweeps in them, I couldn't learn them. I couldn't play them. It sounded awful. So what I decided to do, I take like ideas from like warm up exercises, like I said to you, that jump switchy chromatic one. I changed it myself by going up every time it repeats by 1 fret, and then sometimes I'll change when I go down or when I go up and things like that. So I kind of do my own thing with it. But I've kind of gone away more recently from learning exercises to improve technique. I just think, right, I'm just going to go out and find something.
Yeah. It's about application of the physical.
Because there's plenty of things out there you can use as exercises, like I don't know, the This Godless Endeavour. Those sweeps are like, they're great for.
Because you mix up the 5s and the 3s in one, like, and it's a really cool musical thing. So.
And you don't have to learn the whole thing. You just learn little bits of it if that's all you want to do.
Yeah.
They're really things like that. I find that better, because then not only are you learning a song. Like I wanted to learn tapped arpeggios recently, and I found a few exercises and I just didn't like them. So I went and found a song.
I got one for you. Like a Per Nilsson kind of thing. Like it's not something that he necessarily has done, but it's a really cool thing. So C major 7 arpeggio, start on the 8th fret of the low E. Tap on, so you play the triad, and you tap the 7th on this thing.
So that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and then you can apply that to like the minor one as well. So. Hang on, sorry, brain's just decided to stop working. You know, there's like an application for that as well. But yeah, I think exercises have their place, but it's like putting those like technical development things into like a musical context as well that
Yeah.
actually makes it an effective practice. And it's finding stuff that has like musical ideas and techniques you can apply to, or write your own as well. I find is something, because you can take that that basic sweep thing. You can do that all day, but it's not until you really write some arpeggio sequences where that actually has some kind of
musicality to it.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, you're just going to annoy yourself, the neighbours.
Oh god, I remember when I wanted to learn pinch harmonics. God. That was a bad time. That was a bad time for my mum. When I was a bedroom guitarist living with my parents, just trying to learn pinch harmonics. Oh, I think my mum thought my guitar playing went backwards dramatically.
Oh no! What was it like that? That's like all the
mostly low ones, yeah.
Trying to get that Zach Wild kind of thing.
Exactly.
I
remember learning those. Just never get it. And then one day it was clicked.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I don't know what it was about it, but did you find it? I mean, from what it sounded like, it just kind of happened. But there isn't really a way other than you just have to get the string between your pick and the thumb.
Yeah.
And it just, I think the way I
just one day you can do it, can't you?
One day I eventually think just went. Oh, there's where it comes out. So.
I learned how to pinch from a Total Guitar magazine, and when you're reading it in words how to pinch, it doesn't make sense.
No.
When you're reading you're like, do what? It doesn't make sense to read it on paper. You just kind of got to do it and go, oh, that's what they mean. That's not what that said. Oh man, it's so good. Right, on the subject of technique and shredding that, I think one of the things you wanted to talk about was I'm not sure if this is probably outdated by now because it's already been kind of covered to hell, but the whole fake guitar playing thing.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, what do you mean? Do you think? What do you want me to say? Or
I mean,
fake news.
Where's your stance on that sort of thing? When it comes to, because I mean, there's been a lot of it's been debunked already. A lot of people have come forward and gone I'm not doing it. I mean, for me, I'm not 100% convinced that the Buried Alive guy, if I'm being honest.
Oh, I don't think
that's only my personal opinion, but that's mainly because I can't seem to get through more than 10 seconds of anything he does.
Because endorsement of his music.
I don't mean it in sort of patronising or I don't mean slagging off, but it's not my thing. I hear it. I'm like, you know when sometimes you'll see a guitarist, even now, someone at your level, you might see someone like Chris Broderick do something, and you think, I need to do that.
Yeah.
But people like that, the Rings of Saturn guys, this Buried Alive dude, I'm like, I've got no desire to do that.
Yeah.
I've got no.
I mean,
people look up to these people like they're the elite of the instrument. I'm like, well, no, it all depends on your taste. If that's what you like, but so one of the things I think was fair to say that kind of got debunked was a lot of people saying how it's not fair to the listener. But I think if you're doing that thing, so I think a lot of them were getting accused of running MIDI programs from Guitar Pro.
Some of those
reamping
them, I think actually.
Yeah, but reamping them and then
saying it's their
and I'm like, I don't think that's too bad from a compositional point of view. If you want to write music and you want to write something fast and have it sound perfect, I don't think that's a terrible thing to do. But just as long as you're not lying to people, tell people that's what you do.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I would accept that a lot more. I'd be like, right, okay, at least now I know what I'm listening to.
I mean, I think the parallel I'd say is, how do you know it's a great singer in the top 40 if they're auto-tuned to hell? Is it not the same thing? People kind of buying that product that's... I mean, studio trickery is it's just widely accepted that there's a lot of effects and things, but the average listener isn't really going to know. However, I think there is kind of a point where you go, there's a certain level of technicality that it kind of, even for people like us that know and understand music, there's a line where it doesn't really get that much more impressive without it, because it's to an extent it loses musicality in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I think it does.
And I think it could just be an objective preference as well, for just what you like. But I don't know. I do think it kind of is a little bit devious to put videos like the very live thing. Maybe, but it's also like playthrough. If you do a playthrough video, you're not actually performing the song, are you? But you call it a playthrough. It's kind of like your get out jail free card in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
So, but again, it's if you release an album and you half time the recording and play it at full speed.
Yeah, I think definitely speeding on videos is definitely very misleading.
There was one actually I saw on Instagram and it had like a guy and it says like 42 notes played in a second, and it's so obviously sped up and people are calling him out on it. And I actually replied to it and I said, "Wow, how do you move your head that fast? Like that's incredible." And he just didn't reply.
Awesome. Alright, going to take a little break just there because I need to check on something, but we'll be back in a minute. And that's why I won't pick up a guitar for the rest of the day now. Cool. One of the things I wanted to bring up as well with you is you wanted to talk about Joe Quayle and the work you've been doing recently.
So this was actually something that was kind of
another name drop.
Do you know I met Phil Demmel the other day, by the way. Actually did at that guitar show.
Yeah.
Who else can we name drop? Dave Mustaine walked past me once.
I don't think that classes as a name drop.
No.
I know where Pat Sharp lives, but I don't use that as a name drop.
That sounds kind of creepy. Don't send him this.
No, it'd be creepy if I knew where the twins live.
Oh man. So yeah, Joe Quayle. This was something that kind of happened. It was like quite widely spaced out actually. So when was this? About 3 years ago, a mutual friend of mine and Joe Quayle was like. So me and Joe hadn't met at this time in 2017, and a friend of ours, Adam Fillery, who's someone that you know, and really good guy. He did a lot for the sort of the South of Kent and London music scene.
He did do a lot.
Put on
done more than he had to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably to his detriment as well. Maybe that's why his hairline's not there anymore.
Sorry.
But yeah. Adam's a great guy. Got a lot of time for him, and he helped a lot of bands get to like to Bloodstock and stuff like that with the Metal to the Masses and Banquest stuff that he did. And I think he always tried to make something out of like the events with like the raffles and those kind of things. So it wasn't just like a gig.
The fucking
But nothing to get.
You're watching a band. Ticket? Pound a strip? Fuck off, Adam.
Actually, I've won one of those once, and I got some out-of-date chocolate. So I think that's.
But great guy.
Yeah, that's probably why I never bought a ticket again off you, if you ever wondered. But yeah, Adam introduced me to Joe because we did this thing at a youth centre. When was it? About 3 years ago in Welling or somewhere, and he wanted us to just like show how we could get some different sounds out of the instruments. And of course, Joe like did her thing with the with her violin and her loops and stuff, and all like the kind of the weird particular sounds that come out of the cello and those like extra things. Like you know how on a guitar you can get the that kind of stuff. That's just like, oh cool, didn't know a guitar could do that. Like, you know, maybe you did. I don't know. So she demonstrated some really cool stuff, I think, off of one of her albums, and she played in like I think most of her song, and it was all the kids were like, "Holy shit, that was fucking cool!" Like just her, and she's making this just monumental soundscape from layering and looping and stuff. And I went there, and I just kind of did what I did earlier, just noodled and shredded and kind of stuff. And then one thing, and it was a bit like embarrassing. I was like, this is nowhere near as cool as what Joe did. But I did kind of pull this one out of the bag. And forgive me if I play this really badly, but it kind of like showed like you can do some stuff with the guitar that's not just like wiggly, which a lot of people go, oh, you're in a metal band, you play solos, and just like billy, billy, billy. So like something like a.
That was pretty cool.
A bit rough, I haven't played it for a while. But, so just but anyway, I met Joe that day, and we kind of hit it off and stayed in touch. And it wasn't actually until around like about the end of maybe the start of 2018, she popped over for a chat, and she said, "Oh, I'm basically about to go into the studio to record her next album. Would you be interested in playing some guitar on it?" And I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah." Like I had no idea like what she wanted, and she sent me some of the demos. And one night after work, I went home and I was like, I wanted to do something that wasn't just a noodly guitar solo.
Yeah.
And funny enough, it actually ended up being like a bit of a noodly guitar solo. But I guess that's just because I think that's kind of like where my strength lies. I'm not so much like like Ichika from Instagram and like the Polyphia guys who do all like the crazy like kind of really out there stuff. I just do like the sort of the normal shreddy solo, and that's just kind of what I do. But I sent her the demo, and she liked it. She loved it. So she was like, "Cool, just play that." And we went up to the studio in Chester and recorded with Chris Fielding, who's in the bass player in Conan.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so he actually engineered Joe's album, and went up there and we just like hit it off. And we talked about Black Mirror and stuff, and
awesome.
All these cool things. And that was kind of it for a while. And then I saw Joe a couple of times. We stayed in touch and stuff and whatever. And then towards the end of last year, 2019, she kind of phoned me up out of the blue and was just like, "Oh, I really want to get you on stage and play a gig at some point." I was like, "Well, yeah, like whenever you got one coming up." She goes like, "Well, I'm actually playing Damnation Festival next weekend. Like, I don't know if you have any time, like," but I just said, "Look, let's just find an hour after like one weeknight in between now and Saturday, and we'll just jam." So I had to like relearn this solo I played like nearly 2 years ago, kind of thing, and had to figure out. And it had some like cool tapping stuff in it. I can show you a bit later if you want. And so I went to Joe's and we just literally had a jam. And she was like, "Cool." So we just literally turned up at Damnation. Well, I drove up there from here to Leeds, which was a 4-hour drive. Played the gig, stuck around to watch Alcest and Opeth and a couple of other bands. And that last year's Damnation was a really damn good lineup as well. And drove home, and there was a brilliant gig. Like the room that we played out was just packed out, and I think there was like
awesome.
there was like 1,500 people in the room. And it was just like it was a one in, one out because it was just so completely just solid
to the roughness. Awesome.
And then she said like, "Oh, if you want to play again," she did a gig in December, which I went up and played with her, and that was at the Village Underground, which is like a massive kind of like how to describe it, like big underground kind of like room. And I had no idea.
Long time to get to the word room.
Existed. And see, my vocabulary is extremely prolific. And so we again just played that, and we hadn't actually rehearsed because she just came off of a tour with Mono, I think. So apologies if that's not correct, but she was playing with Mono as part of their 20th anniversary event in December, which was so it's the whole like same event, and Joe was just playing solo at another venue, which again was like packed out, and she always like just has this way of just captivating the crowd and people just like watching, and the attention doesn't waver because she really has like this knowledge of like how to get the cello to do like just an inordinate amount of things, and she kind of weaves it all together, and these soundscapes are really just quite like really mesmerising.
It's pretty awesome.
And you can kind of just sit there and like, because some of the stuff like sounds like it really wouldn't be like out of fit in like Game of Thrones as well. So there's like I'd seriously recommend checking out her albums like anyway. They're great, and it was really cool to be like a part of the album and then get to play some shows for her as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check some of that out. All right, cool. Last thing I want to talk about before we end this was your hair.
My hair.
Your hair. What's the maintenance on that thing?
What is the maintenance? Well, I
It's
have
so
to
big
use
all the time.
seagull poo to fertilise it.
What do you use for conditioner?
I don't actually.
Whale sperm.
But yeah, actually, damn, secret's out. That's actually not vegan friendly.
Oh, is it not?
I'm not vegan, so it doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
No. I mean, does it? Is that animal harm if you wank off a whale? Like,
I think it's the first thing wrong harm.
yeah, if they're enjoying it, then why not? Then yeah, some animals may be a glutton for punishment. I don't know.
All right, awesome. Well, I think we're going to end it there. I think that's all we've got time for today. I'd like to thank our associates Solar Guitars and Evertune for their ongoing support with this podcast, and I'd like to thank Nick also for being my guest today. And thank you to anyone out there who's listening, wherever you are in the world. I don't care. So,
thanks for having me, Pete.
and do you want to play us out?
No.
Give us some shred.
Oh, well, you put me on the spot now. That's the totally wrong preset.
Totally.
Wow, this is like the best outro ever.